Good evening.
All right.
Welcome to the Burke County Board of Commissioners meeting. We ask that you silence your cell phones. And now we will begin with a prayer by our county manager, Murray Waldrop, followed by pledge Commissioner Evans Martin.
All right, let us pray. Father, we want to thank you again for the blessings we enjoy in our community. We ask for a special blessing on our school board chairman, Johnny Jenkins. I pray that you'll let your healing hand touch him and bring him back to be with us all. Lord, we ask for all those who are dealing with COVID in our community. I pray that you'll bring healing to our whole community and give us victory over this virus. Lord, we ask for wisdom for this board, for all the decisions that are made here tonight, that things will be done for your honor and for your glory and for the betterment of our community. We ask all this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Everybody want, please stand face the flag.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, the meeting is called to order. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Motion made by Commissioner Nix, second by Commissioner Martin, that we approve the agenda as printed. All in favor? Unanimous. At this time, we will have approval of the minutes of the meeting on July 13th, 10th, 27th, and August 3rd.
Madam Chairman, we have one correction to the July 13th minutes, which we've placed in front of the board at your dais. It was the addition of the portion of the meeting after the executive session. So that's been included and updated for you.
Okay, thank you. Everybody has a copy of that on your desk in front of you. So can we get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve of the minutes of meetings for July 13th, 10th, 27th, and August 3rd. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Evans Martin, second by Commissioner Abrams, that we approve the minutes of the said dates with the correction. All in favor? Unanimous. At this time, Mr. Xavier Wimberly will come forward to address the board with a few community concerns.
Madam
Good.
Chair, Commissioners, Manager, move this out of the way here. I came with a few concerns. I am Xavier Wimberly, and I came with a few concerns that I think most citizens are concerned with. We're just not stepping up to speak on them. And I didn't come to hold you long, but I would say as a taxpayer and a concerned citizen, we should bring some awareness where things are being put out and we're not really grasping. And I think our commissioners, especially, I'm focused on Evans Martin because he is my commissioner at this current time. But first, I'm going to start with, I want us to visit, go with me as we talk about I'm talking about numbers for our county attorney. Our county attorney, if we look back at 2016, we started at roughly $29,000 that we paid our county attorneys. And it went on to 2020, getting in the upper of $105,000. Currently, year to date, we're at $100,000. $100,000 year to date for this fiscal year, and we have roughly roughly 60 more days or 2 months in this year. With that being said, I just want the commission to let this tarry on your brain for just a moment, where what if, hypothetically, what if we reach out and get a full-time attorney, have a full-time attorney on board with the Burke County systems, so that if any entity, whether it's the Sheriff's Department, Magistrate, Probate, Clerk of Court, or the Tax Commission, or even if the county manager needs some assistance, that attorney is readily available. It's not every time you pick up the phone and call. If the commissioners have a question or concern and they call the office of the county attorney at this point, there's a bill or PO that comes with that. Let's think about it and hire one full-time here for Burke County as a whole. It will help the county manager with some of the ordinances that he is doing, and it'll help with the legal jargon that's going on. So just think about that. That's a thought, and that's a non-full-time employee. The next is, I was in the meeting last month on 13 July. During that meeting, I understood that the Sheriff Department asked for a grade change from grade 23 to 21. Grade 23 is a major's position, goes from roughly $57,000 to $86,000. Grade 1 is roughly $54,000 to $63,000. Now, with that in mind, I can say in 2017, the sheriff himself came and asked the commission for things that he wanted and needed. The need was certified officers to hit the street to make a difference in Burke County. And the commissioners graciously gave that to the sheriff, gave it to him. And now, here we are in 2021, and now we don't need some of those positions. I mean, it's just something to think about. We don't need the positions that we needed a few years ago. Now we don't need them to do from certified officers to civilian officers. What and who the positions are for, have no earthly idea per se. But what I will say is, I heard on 13 July that it was for a budget analysis. Well, if the Sheriff Department can have a budget analysis to manage numbers and do the books, what about the Clerk of Court, Probate, Magistrate, and all other entities, Road Department, that have a huge budget as well? I'm saying that to say we're giving and giving and giving without thinking this thing through. We have to know this is what we need before we start just giving. And I'm saying that to the commissioners, emphasizing on Evans Martin because that's my commissioner. He's in my area, my district. And those are our tax dollars. Just like individuals to my left and all of you in front of me right now. Money is hard to come by, and we work for those dollars. And those tax dollars that we pay to the tax commissioner for the properties we have isn't cheap. It's not cheap. I can stand before you and say I spend somewhere around $20,000 plus a year in taxes. So I try to count dollar. Nobody's giving Xavier anything or my family. So I'm saying that we should pay attention to what we're just giving, because everybody is in need. Everybody wants something. with this budget analysis position, I'm curious, and again, something to think about. Mr. Merv Waldrop is the county manager. Mr. Adam Flakes is the assistant county manager. Mr. Michael Wism is the finance director. We have Ms. Tracy as the accountant and Tanya as the accounts payable clerk. Where I'm going with this is, commissioners, if we have those individuals in place, what's the need of a budget analysis for an individual department? That's, again, something to think about. Our tax dollars. If we're doing a grade 21, look at what's the pay scale for that. That's money that we can spread across to some of them or get some more deputies to help out here on the roadway. Because it's not helping keep the peace on the streets with that. That's the concern that I have. When you look at numbers, the sheriff department put out a booklet or numbers yearly for the most part. We don't know the true numbers that they put out. We could say the previous administration, we go off their numbers that's given to us and say that those numbers are astronomical. They're out the roof. The previous sheriff, I guess it was said he wasn't doing anything. But how do we know what's going on now? Because when you look at it in the street, same thing is going on in our communities. It's just what's reported, what's given to us, what's shown. We don't know if those numbers are accurate or not. So in closing and wrapping this up, I'm going to leave you with this, with these positions, or that particular position, and a few others. I mean, we have an HR director, but now the sheriff department have that as well. So are these positions warranted? Are they needed? Or are these positions that we're just wasting money on as taxpayers and returning favors, giving somebody something because we feel that we're indebted or owe them? That's all I have. Think about it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wimberly. Thank you for that presentation, and we will check or kind of research some information. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, approval of proclamation honoring Mary Swint Robinson on her 100th birthday, which is an accomplishment.
If you'd like, I will read the proclamation and the board can approve it. Whereas Mary Swint Robinson was born on August 18th, 1921, and raised in St. Clair, Georgia. And whereas she studied nursing at the University Hospital of Nursing in Augusta, Georgia. And whereas Mrs. Robinson now resides at the Autumn Glen Assisted Living in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Burke County Board of Commissioners designates Wednesday, August 18th, 2021, as Mary Swint Robinson Day, and has caused the official seal to be hereunto affixed and call upon citizens of Burke County to render tribute. And then they're approved by the Board of Commissioners, or Burke County Board of Commissioners.
Okay, can we get a motion to sign the proclamation?
I make a motion that we approve Ms. Mary Swint Roberts and for our chairman to sign the proclamation. Madam Chair, I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Abrams, second by Commissioner Nix, that we approve the proclamation honoring Ms. Robinson on her 100th birthday, and pray that she is well and continue to be well in her assisted living nurse area. And she was a nurse, so definitely she's put in her service. So we're definitely glad and we're grateful for her service when she was located in this community, and we're glad now that she's still alive. Thank you. Next on the agenda, request for rezoning, Greg Robertson, and this is from R1 to residential R3, high density residential.
Madam Chair and Board, we have a request from Greg Robertson to rezone a 2-acre lot on Idlewood Road from R1 to R3. There's already an existing duplex on the property. They want to build an additional duplex. The R1 zoning only allows single family, so in order to put the second duplex on the property, it needs to be rezoned to R3. A public hearing was held by the Planning Commission. There was no opposition to the request, and the Planning Commission's recommended approval of this rezoning.
Okay, can we get a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the rezoning up to R3.
Second.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Abrams, second by Commissioner Martin, that we approve the request of rezoning for Greg Robertson. All in favor? Unanimous. Next item, request for approval of conditional use permit for Jason Blackburn and Mark Midlow.
On this request, the zoning is correct, but in order to do the incidental manufacturing, it is allowed as a conditional use in the general commercial district. And the Planning Commission held a public hearing on the request to do incidental manufacturing. This is to build trusses on the site where they would be selling pole barns. The public hearing was held. There was some concern, but the limitations that were recommended by the Planning Commission appeased the neighborhood, satisfied all the concerns. So the Planning Commission's recommended that the conditional use be granted, subject that the operations be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., so daytime hours. No truck traffic from the business would use Spring Valley Road, and then a privacy fence would be placed along Spring Valley Road and along the rear of the property.
Madam Chairman, if there are no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for Jason Blackburn and Mark Midlow to allow incidental manufacturing on parcel 074-017. Madam Chair, I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Nix, that we approve the request of the conditional use permit for Jason Blackburn and Mark Midlow. All in favor? Unanimous. Next item, receive proposals for the audit service.
All right, we'll open the proposals. We'll have to go through them and present them to the Finance Committee, but we'll call out the individuals or the companies that are interested in doing our audit. This would be a 5-year contract. We typically have done 3 years, but we've used the same one. I think we'll get a better price if we can guarantee that they'll have the business for 5 years. And so we've got 3 firms that have given proposals. We'll call out their names. One is Baird out of Augusta. They had our audit 10, 15 years ago.
Spell it.
B-A-I-R-D. They used to be Baird and Company. I think they're Baird Audit Group now. The next one is K. Proctor with Lanier, Deal, and Proctor. So yeah, they're our current one, Lanier, Deal, Proctor, out of Statesboro. And then the final one is a proposal from Malden and Jenkins out of Macon. They're a big firm, do a lot of local government audits.
Okay, is there a certain time, Commissioner Abrams, for tomorrow?
4, what about your time? Can you make it 4 or 4:30?
Yeah, I'm gonna be his replacement.
Okay. final, yeah, 4:30.
4:30. Finance Committee at 4:30 tomorrow. And one bit of good news is that the paint striping bid is, I put it on this agenda, it's not due till September, so there's one less bid opening tonight. The next one would be the steel culvert bid. I've got a bid sheet on your, on the desk, but we've only got one bidder, and that's Cherokee Culvert out of Macon. They have bid for the 18-inch pipe, let's find 18-inch. They bid $17.42 per foot. For the 18-inch, let's see, 30-foot section, they bid $17.42. For the 24-inch, they bid $23.03 per foot. For the bands, they've got the 18-inch bands are $17.42 per band, and the connecting bands on the 24-inch pipe, those bands are $23.03. $23.03. Their total bid for all the pipe that we had, pipe and bands, is $24,995.39. $24,995.39. And that's the only bid we had on the pipe. We have, last bid opening is on CAD terminal for 911 center. This is to make sure that everybody has a complete CAD system. Computer assisted design. So the bid is from, we've only got one bid, and it's from Synergistic Software Integrated, SSI. Find the bid. Okay, their bid quote is $86,080. $86,080.
That's all?
And that's all. That's for 3 CAD software systems. And that's the only bid we got.
Okay, so the Finance Committee will review these items tomorrow at 4:30. Next item on the agenda, Murray, ready, or you want to put that up?
That's good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, next item on the agenda, request for Class B alcohol license for Mark Smith at A&A Minute Market.
Mark Smith has requested to have the license at the A&A Minute Market on Highway 23 moved from Ricky Smith's name into his name, Mark W. Smith. The location meets all distance requirements, is zoned appropriately. Mark Smith has a clean background. There's no reason not to grant the license to Mr. Smith.
Okay, any discussion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to alcohol license.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Nick, second by Commissioner Martin, that we approve the request for the Class B alcohol license for Mark Smith. All in favor? Unanimous. Next item, final reading of Ordinance 2106, amending the Land Development Code to change permitted uses, design standards, and definitions.
This is the ordinance we had a good bit of discussion on at our last meeting. The changes that were approved by the board have been incorporated into this ordinance. It make some changes to the requirements on recreational vehicles and RV parks. It does do away with the time limit that was one of the concerns. It also addresses conditional uses in some of the R1 districts. But all those changes were incorporated based on the board's recommendations at the last meeting. If you're satisfied with the ordinance, you can approve it. It would take effect immediately.
Okay, can we get a motion?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve ordinance 21-0. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Nix, second by Commissioner Abrams, that we approve the final reading of ordinance 20-06. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, next item, final reading of ordinance 2107, amending the Land Development Code to change administrative procedures regarding zoning.
All right, this ordinance is up for final reading. It makes one substantive change, which requires that any parcel that is subdivided as a result of a zoning approval, that it be recorded and platted and recorded within 60 days of approval, or that they lose the rezoning that was a part of that. And what it does is it just encourages and those that get approval to go ahead and act on that approval.
Okay, can we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, there are no further discussion. I'd like to make a motion to be approved 21-07.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Abrams, second by Commissioner Martin, that we approve the final reading of ordinance 2107. All in favor? Unanimous. Final reading of ordinance 21-08, and this is amending the Land Development Code to changing accessory uses and structures standards.
This ordinance also comes as a recommendation from the Planning Commission. It is on our agenda for final reading, so if it's approved, it takes effect immediately. The one change it makes is in regard to accessory buildings. It would allow an accessory building in an A1 district to be placed in a front yard or front or side yard, as long as the property is at least 10 acres in size. So there were some concerns. The individuals wanted to have a garage or a pole barn or something in front of their house, and they're on a big acreage tract, but our ordinance would not have allowed that by the way it was written previously. So this would make that correction, allow some more flexibility on larger lots for location of accessory buildings.
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for final reading of ordinance 2108, amending the Land Development Code to changing accessory uses and structure standards.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Nix, that we approve the final reading of ordinance 21-08. All in favor? Unanimous. Next item, request from Development Authority to authorize a purchase order for Tim Lawson Farms to do erosion control for rough grading at the West Side Industrial Park.
The Development Authority opened bids at their meeting last month for rough grading on the Raymond Track or the West Side Industrial Park. Their two bids were from Tim Lawson Farms and Tim Lanier Construction. The low bid was Tim Lawson Farms, is $87,634.50. The other bid from Tim Lanier was $126,886.45. The Development Authority is recommending and asking for a purchase order to be issued to Tim Lawson Farms, the low bidder on the project.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we get a Development Authority to use the purchase order for reconstructing the land. I'll second, Madam Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Abrams, second by Commissioner Nix, that we approve and authorize the purchase order for Tim Lawson Farms for the erosion control. All in favor? Unanimous. Item number 16, appointment to fill vacancy on the Planning Commission.
Madam Chair, Wayne Lively has sent in his resignation from the Planning Commission. He's going to be moving to Scriven County, so he's asked to be replaced on the board. Tradition has it that the commissioner from that district nominate an individual, and then the board approve that, and it is subject to the board's approval for that nomination. He would be from District 5.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I have spoken with a gentleman, and he asked me to give him a little bit more time so he could do his homework. So I hate to keep putting it off, but if we could, let's table this and I'll make sure that appointment's done next month.
Okay, thank you. This item is tabled until next meeting, next month. Next item, request from Golf Improvement Association to use the golf park for back to school fest on September 4th.
The Golf Improvement Association is asking for permission from the board to use the park in golf for an event called Golf Fest or Back to Golf. The event would be scheduled on Saturday evening. September 4th would go from 5 till 5 p.m. till 10 p.m. and they want to be able to start setting up around noon. If approved, the Golf Improvement Association would make arrangements for security and portalets and everything else that they need for the site. They just want to get permission from the board.
Can I say one thing before we make this motion?
Yes.
Golf is one of the most, and Keysville too, is in my district. And those people pay taxes just like everybody else. And they don't have no extra money for no portalets and pay for no security and all that type of stuff. And it would be an outcry for us to put that burden on those people who trying to bring golf back where they're, working on trying to see what they can do to help improve that community. And us as people who in this county, and I think that we can, they're not just living over there free. And I think that for what they're going through, as tough as the community is over there, we should, I would recommend for us to at least help them out on the portalet, and I would also ask the sheriff department if they would help them out on security. They don't have that kind of money. And the people income in that area, for us to put out, it'd be an outcry for us on the county to do that to them, period. Any other community in that situation.
I agree. This golf community is impoverished, and we've been doing this, the 4th year? Yeah. Okay. So we've been doing this, assisting them for 4 years without any asking for any type of pay or money. So I don't see why we should not provide or assist them with this. So
right. Excuse me. The board can do whatever you want to as far as a policy, but realize it does set a precedent, and that if other groups ask, we'll probably be expected to provide for their activities too.
Okay, so we've been setting a precedence for 4 years. So
They never asked before.
They have been asking,
right.
Mr. Murray. They are in my community, and it's up for me. They vote for me, and I got to represent people in the area. They ask me, and I always bring it to the board. This ain't nothing been under no cover. I always brought it to the board and let them know whenever they have any major event up there. Always.
Any more discussion?
Well, I'm kind of questioning too, Mr. Lucius, and I haven't been here last year or whatever, but when we do decide to do this, who do we not do it for? I mean, do we do it for every community, or I ain't singling out golf for Keysville, but do we do it for a church down at the park? And I'm asking.
This is for these communities in our county. Like in my community, I got Keysville, we got Golf, we got Vidette, and Midlow. And they are taxpayers just like everybody else. And if they need a little assistance, I can see we're gonna go in there and build a $200,000 bathroom, bring down Lionel Richie and got to pay $300,000. No, you know what I'm saying? And I'll be the first one to say no. But the only thing we talking about is a portalet, and they don't have no running water up there. And the outcry would hurt me so bad that the Blanchard donated property up there, and we sold it. You know, and but anyway, we're not gonna get into all that. But anyway, I would like to make the motion that we assist them the way we've been with the portalets, and I would get with the sheriff department and see if they would help us out on security for the people in our community. And that's my motion.
Okay, and I do see a hand, so that interrupts the motion, and we'll have to make it again. Okay, yes, sir.
Right now, they asking, I am the commissioner, and they come and they have meetings, and they had already came to me, and I think me as a commissioner at this present time, if I come to the board and this is something that we've been doing for them for years, and we're not asking nothing less than $500, what we're talking about, you may probably won't be that much with a portalet. And security, if the sheriff department do to help us out on security, this is a no-brainer. They sent requests to ask. Right, they got a request, I feel like they have a request from the board.
Well, then again, I'm definitely not arguing with $200, $300. That's not a big deal, but I'm just concerned that if we start, then where are we going to stop? I guess that's my only concern. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you restate your motion? Unless it's any more discussion.
I make a motion that we help golf on the comeback to golf, and the little assistance they need for portalets and security. The county, if they are taxpayers like everybody else, that we should be able to assist them, period.
Is there a second?
Madam Chairman, I'll second, as long as the sheriff can support security. We can support a couple of portalets, but we do need to make sure it's just for the cities and communities, and it's just not anybody that comes up with a festival that wants to support, but we're doing it for a community or a city in the county.
Okay, a motion made by Commissioner Abrams, second by Commissioner Nix. All in favor? Okay, so it's 4 votes yes, opposed, 1 opposed. Okay. Okay, and next item, number 18, request from Sheriff's Office to purchase an IT training simulator using Cjcc grant funds.
Madam Chair, last month the board approved and did a budget amendment for a grant for the Sheriff's Office from the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. The grant was for $31,390. The request is to authorize a purchase order to a sole source vendor for a TI training simulator, which does a shooting simulation. and it's specialized training for the sheriff's office, but the funding is in place and in the small grants fund.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the request provided for by the grant for the TI training.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Nix, second by Commissioner Abrams, that we approve the request for the sheriff's office to purchase the TI training simulator using the grant. All in favor? Unanimous. Now we have two items, item 19 and 20. Sheriff, did you want to do your presentation now? Come forward.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for allowing us to come before you. In regards to the full-time deputy position for the Superior Court or the courthouse, we have 3 part-time positions that we have had open for quite a while. We did not fill those last year. We were faced with COVID. We were not having as much court. We didn't see a need to do it. We had 2 of those 3 persons to retire, and we have since started back with court. We have a severe backlog like every other county in the state, and we have an officer, a deputy, who needs some special consideration regarding his health, and we have moved him over to the courthouse so that we can help him with his health situation. He's been with us a number of years, and so we're asking the commission to consolidate those part-time positions that have remained open into one full-time position. Won't cost the county any additional money. It's just more of semantics, if you will.
Okay, you want to continue with item?
Is it possible to get a vote on that so that I don't get lost? I'm not trying to run your meeting, Madam Chair. I'm just trying to stay in sync.
If it's budget neutral, if that's an issue.
But it's not actually budget neutral. I know you have 3 part-times. Won't it be an additional cost because of, I guess, the full-time with the benefits?
So the person who we moved to that position already works for us. We're not asking for, well, I'll take that back. So yes, it's budget neutral in that we're getting rid of 3 part-time positions and creating 1 position. But yes, we would have to replace him because of his illness. He cannot continue to do the job that he once did. And I'm required by law to make a special accommodation when it's reasonable. I have no other choice. It is federal law, and I'm trying to accommodate him because we have the wherewithal to do that.
But, so what I'm saying, those 3 part-time and that 1 position, those two accounts, right? You still got to worry about the deputy sheriff or on the road.
That's right.
Yeah, that's separate.
Yes.
I guess my question was, the 3 part-times don't have the insurance and retirement, so that's going to be, is the salary the same, or is it all a complete ball, everything the same?
Yeah.
And it's coming, again, I know you said you have a legal duty, but it's kind of swapping from you to the Superior Court budget, so that's kind of leaving your office, or is it, I mean, I understand it's under the Sheriff's Department, but you mind explaining that?
Yes, sir. Commissioner, he is leaving my payroll, still our employee, but he is leaving our payroll to go to the Superior Court, paid out of a totally different budget than the Sheriff's Office budget. That is correct. And Madam Chair, if it pleases you, I can move on with the next item on the agenda, and I think that'll clean up all of this. Okay, yes. So thank you again for the opportunity to come before you. One of my favorite artists is Michael McDonald. Y'all might remember the Doobie Brothers if you're old enough to remember them. They have a song called "What a Fool Believes," and we're not name calling here, but if you'll follow me for just a minute, the song says, "What a fool believes he sees is always better than nothing." But he says a wise man has the power to reason away what the fool believes. And that leads me into a rebuttal to what you heard earlier regarding our request at the last meeting to move the major's position to a budget analyst. The person said analysis. Analysis is a thing, and analyst is a person. We were paying a police major somewhere around $70,000 a year to do the budget work. He has left our employ. If you factor in $70,000 a year salary plus 29% benefits, you're somewhere in the early 90s, $90,000+ a year. We realized that we did not need another law enforcement officer. The last 3 in that position have been sworn officers. We have put a civilian budget analyst in that position, and we're paying that person $58,000 a year plus 29% benefits, so he is making roughly $74,000 when you factor in salary and benefits. Now, the budget analyst doesn't have a car, and in police work, we equate a car to about $6,000, so you can add, that $92,000, $93,000 the major was making plus $6,000, you're somewhere around $99,000 is what it cost, not to mention the gas for the car, the wear and tear, the parts. You're at $100,000. We have this new budget analyst who is, I don't care which way you turn it, he's right at less than $75,000. So in my math, we're saving $25,000. It's a no-brainer. What a fool believes he sees is always better than nothing at all. And I submit to you that this is nothing at all. Nothing. Secondly, it ain't my job to defend Barry Fleming, but as a citizen, if you paid the county attorney $100,000 plus 29% benefits if he's a full-time employee, that'd be somewhere around $29,000 plus the $100,000 salary. You'd be at $129,000. And if you had him on the staff full-time, you'd have to give him a paralegal. I know lawyers well enough to know they don't do their own work. You'd have to pay for software. You'd have to pay for the other 3 or 4 attorneys that Mr. Fleming has in his office. And I'm not taking up from Mr. Fleming. I'm just saying it just doesn't make sense. You'd spend 2 times that much. What a fool believes he sees is always better than nothing. In my presentation to you tonight, I want to talk to you about truth or doubt. And tonight, you're either going to search for truth or you're going to search for doubt. It's one or the other. If we walked outside right now and the tops of all of our cars are wet, and we look at the cement and the roadway and it is wet too, the 2 things can be surmised. If you're in search of truth, you're going to say there must have been an afternoon shower while we were in there handling the government's business. If you're in search of doubt, you're going to say, well, I think maybe the Waynesboro Fire Department came over here and wet everybody's car, and that's what happened. Either you're looking for truth or you're looking for doubt. It can't be both. I'm coming before this commission respectfully because I have an issue, and it's a strong issue, and it's an issue that will not go past September 30. This commission has been good to us. This commission has helped us. And I'm respectfully doing this only because it's my only legal way to remedy a problem that I have with the county manager. Now, I have prayed for 2 weeks that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart will be acceptable in the sight of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I hope that that's what comes through to you. For 4.5 years since I've been in office, I have worked hard to go along, to get along, to be a good partner, to be a good leader in this community. But I am not a person who will continue to do that which doesn't make sense. And as difficult as it may be, I'm just up against a wall, and I can't go any further. And I'm asking this commission to give me the relief that the law requires. In fact, tonight, you don't have a choice whether you agree with what I'm saying. And if I'm wrong, Barry Fleming can stand up and say, that's not right, or that's a misrepresentation of the law, or Sheriff, you're not right. The language that I have given to you in the intent to file a mandamus lawsuit comes directly out of the playbook that you all get when you go to school to become certified commissioners. And it comes directly out of the law from the Supreme Court of Georgia. The law says basically that when you set the budget for the sheriff, the clerk of Superior Court, the probate judge, and the tax commissioner, you have no authority, zero authority, to decide how a single dime is spent. You cannot get into the constitutional officer's business. We are not department heads. In fact, there is Superior Court case law that says that we are not county employees. That is extremely clear, extremely clear. And I want to, we have some handouts there as a cheat sheet for the commission, the community, but we have shared all of this with you. We are not here to ask this commission for one single dime, not one. We don't want any money, none, other than what has already been approved by the commission, not a dime. In fact, if you will give us, starting October 1, not if you will give us, because you don't have a choice. Starting October 1, we are going to take over our budget, and we're not going to allow the county manager to micromanage a single dollar, not one. No longer, no further. It is clear. And we're not asking for a vote tonight because this is not a vote because it's the law. It is as plain as day that you have to do this. And it might be hard to swallow, but I think I'm trying to make a case because I've already talked to each of you about this. I think it's making a case to the public that the commission just doesn't have a choice. They don't. In fact, they're in violation of law by allowing it to be the way it is, unless we all agree to it. And in the past, we have acquiesced in the spirit of trying to go along, to get along, to do well, to be good neighbors. And I want to bring your attention to some numbers that have pushed me to this point. If you look at the intent to file the mandamus action, and if I may draw your attention to I'm sorry. Let me just go here. I'm getting ahead of myself. I went to Merv's office maybe a month and a half ago, somewhere thereabout, and I said to him, we have a dire situation. Based on the lawsuit filed by a former employee who's alleging there's some lead issues in the firing range, the insurance company attorney asked us to cease and desist use of that indoor firing range. It's 33 years old. It's outlived its use. There's an allegation made that there's lead in there. We've had these tests conducted. And so the lawyer said, please discontinue using it. We put tape over the door. We haven't used it. That put us in a dire situation where we need to find somewhere to train. No fault of our own. And so I said to him, we need a place to train. And after a couple of weeks, he said, go back and get some figures and we'll see. Didn't hear anything from him for a couple of weeks. I sent a letter to him. And when I found that President Biden had given Burke County $4 million, $4.3 million in monies he specifically said in his address to use that money for law enforcement, to retain personnel, to help with training. He even went as far as to say, even if you increase the law enforcement numbers beyond that which they had before COVID, it's okay. I drafted a letter. I sent it to the county clerk saying, here's some suggestions from the president, and we need to do something about this emergency that we have where we have no place to train. We have borrowed from everybody in this county as if we are beggars. That's what we've had to do. Plant Vogel, Augusta Tech, Office Park, courthouse, we're just tossed around having to negotiate schedules based on other people's needs or when they don't need their facilities. It's cost prohibitive. We have submitted a study to you to show the money we're spending because of that decision. And I got no response from him. None whatsoever. I expressed that it was an emergency. We've got to have some place to train. I get no response. Just nothing. Just nothing. And so I send a follow-up letter on July 29th. Nothing. And so I am at a point where we're just not going to take it. I'm not going to do it. I got to have some place to train. And it's as if it doesn't matter. It says, well, there's some land out there by the landfill. I'm not a trash guy, and I'm not going to put an office out at the landfill. That's an insult to me. And I wouldn't put a firing range on top of a black neighborhood. I wouldn't put one on top of a white neighborhood either. But I think it's an insult to even suggest that those people would want a firing range in their neighborhood. He doesn't want it in his. So that's the kind of disregard that we get. And if I don't stand up and say something, then I'm the one who's the fool. We also said to him, and he has known this, we came to this commission in 2016, December 2016. I was summoned here by the commission chairperson and asked, why do you want $838,000? What in the world are you going to do with that much money? And I came and I presented and showed what we were going to do, and y'all agreed. And you acquiesced to what I needed. And it's very apparent what we've done with the money. The crime stats show that we have been responsible. We don't make them up. You know, they are what they are. Come check them out. But we didn't get all that we wanted, because I said to y'all in December of 2016, I need 8 deputies per shift. When I got here, there was only 4 per shift. You can't run this county of 856 square miles with 4 deputies. Now, y'all have helped, so I'm not blaming y'all. But we have not gotten to 8 in 4.5 years. We're at 7. The county manager would suggest that we let those 4 positions that were paid for by Plant Vogel for the last 2 years. They gave us $500,000 to keep 4 deputies for 2 years. That money is going to run out somewhere around January. We've been good stewards of it, and it's lasted longer than the 2 years that it was set to last. But it's about to run out. He knows that. And I talked to him and say, we need those deputies. Well, Vogel's winding down, the tax digest is going to go down, and we got to prepare for the future. Well, the minutes say that tax digest was really good. Despite COVID, this county has gotten more money than they have in a while. We have seen no negative effect. Doesn't mean you don't plan. I'm not just saying spend it recklessly, but so I said to him, we need the deputies. If we lose those 4 deputies, we now go back from 7 people per shift to 6. You decide. This commission decides who dies and who lives. Since I have the numbers in your packet to show that 2 years before Vogel gave us the $500,000 for those 4 deputies, we had 12 deaths per year on our roadways. To be very honest, not all of those were around in the area of Plant Vogel. 1 year there was 3, 1 year there were 6. After Vogel gave us the money, I want you to hear this clearly. After Vogel gave us the money, in 2020, we had 0 deaths on the major roads leading to Vogel. 0. And this year, we've only had 1. That's a prima facie showing. Let me say this. In 2017 or 2018, we had almost 1,000 crashes out near Vogel where 77 people were hurt. 2019, we had 850 where 65 people were hurt. 2020, we had 1,000 crashes in the county where 69 people were hurt. 2021, 499 with 40 people hurt. If those numbers don't bear out the fact that having had those 4 deputies have helped this entire county, not just Plant Vogel, I don't know what else does. And if you got rid of them and you decided you're not going to renew the grant and allow us to keep those 4 positions, then you really just got to decide whether you care about the life or not. That's as real as it gets. You're either in search for truth or you're in search of doubt. That's it. And even if you say, well, so Vogel is the largest employer in the state of Georgia, and they have propped this county up since the 70s. And we still have to go to them and beg to use their firing range. We have to go to them and beg to use their classroom space. We have to go to them and beg for $500,000 to do what the law requires this commission to do. Stand up if I'm wrong, Barry. The commission says that you must give me a reasonable budget to do my job and to keep the citizens of this county safe. And I submit that you have given the budget, but I want to tell you what's being done with it. If I told this waiting congregation that we spend $37,000 a month for the county shop, the repair shop, $37,000 a month if I never drive a single car in there to be repaired. Can you imagine if you gave me my money? Well, it's mine because I'm the elected official. Excuse you. I'm still holding the office. No doubt. Yes, sir. Okay. See how that goes. You stand corrected. I'd rather, if you believe in entrepreneurship and you believe in conservatism, what you would say is, that is crazy. You give that sheriff his money and let him go to Firestone and Southern Auto and let them bid back and forth between car repairs so we get the cheapest price. When I drive a car into that shop for an oil change, it costs me an average of $130. If I take it to Firestone, I can get it for 25 or 30. It's not fuzzy math. You're either in search of truth or you're in search of doubt. $37,000 a month, which equates to some $330,000 or so a year. Whether I ever drive a car in there or not. We pay on average, $6,700 a month for parts. Parts. In addition to that $37,000 a month. This SPLOS and this commission has been fairly good to us, and in 4 years we have gotten really good cars because of SPLOS and because of you. Almost all of our cars are under warranty. We take them to the dealer. I can save $30,000 a month. Imagine what we could do with that. We pay $32,000 a month. $32,000 a month for facilities and maintenance. We have our own maintenance person in the jail. Only on a few special projects does the county's maintenance department come and do anything on the grounds of Burke County. They don't cut our grass. Inmates do that. They now clean our building. We used to have inmates who did it for free. This was thrust upon us without any decision to do it. And it's costing me $32,000 a month. So when you look at my budget and think that, well, when the sheriff got here 4 years ago, his budget was about $8 million, and now it's $10 million. You got to look at the numbers. Because what a fool believes he sees is always better than nothing. But a wise man can reason it away and tell you that it's not what you see. It's not what you think. For $32,000 a month, I could clean up myself. We could contract it out, bid it out, and it'd be cheaper. That equates to some $330,000, $340,000 a year. Now, I'm just giving you two figures. That's almost $700,000 a year. And when I add parts to it at $6,700 a month, $800,000 is spent for those purposes. And you tell me you can't give me that money and have me be accountable and for me to save? I've said to this commission, I'll give you back $500,000. If you just give me my budget and let me manage it rather than the county manager who has fuzzy math, I will save you $500,000 a year. Easily. I tried to work this out before we got here, and obviously we couldn't work it out. But it is what it is. Respectfully, commissioners, the law is clear. You have no option. You don't have an option. You do not. The only way for me to fix this, I can't fix this with the county manager. I cannot sue the county manager because he is not a commissioner. I've got to file this mandamus. We came to you last year and we said we wanted to pay 25 cents more per hour for anybody working night shift. That's 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. You said to me, no, we can't do that because if I do that for you, I got to do it for every other department. There's only the EMA left, and we didn't have 911 at the time. We do have 911 now, but they only had 3 people working at night, 12-hour shifts. Because we're painted with the same brush as the tax commissioner and the clerk of court and the probate court. They don't work evenings, nights, weekends, holidays. They're off. You just got to say public safety is different. And I have gone along with it and tried to get along for 4.5 years. Now, the mandamus action, the lawsuit requires that I prove that you have already told me no. And then I can ask Barry Fleming, he's going to conflict out because he represents me and he represents this commission. When you tell me no and we have a conflict, he's got to recuse himself. He can't be involved. We have hired an attorney out of Savannah who is representing us. Depending on how this action goes tonight, we're going to file the mandamus tomorrow. And within 30 days, the case has got to be tried before the Chief Superior Court judge of this circuit. The law is so crystal clear, there's no ambiguity whatsoever. If I was arguing for an amount of money, you give me $10 million, I say I need 11, that would be a reason to argue. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying follow the law. I just served on a panel for the governor where we removed the Clayton County Sheriff from office because he was taking matters into his own hands. He didn't like the law, so he was punishing people. And we removed him from office, or the governor did at our direction. You can't pick and choose the law that you want to follow. If you don't like it, you got to get the legislators to change it. And I'm respectfully asking you to tell the county clerk to follow the law and to get out of our business and to let us save money. And I'm telling you, I don't want any part. I don't want him to do our human resources. I don't want him to handle our retirement. I don't want him to pay our bills. And in fact, he doesn't pay our bills. We have to pay our own bills. But I want him completely out, just as the law allows me to do. With $800,000, I can get most anything I want and still give you some back. That's what I'm getting. And because the mandamus was based primarily on the emergency that we need a training center and that we need to save those 4 deputies. I'm running out of time because the clerk knows that effective October 1, the new budget starts. He's trying to kick the can down the road and said, I'll look at it sometime mid-September. He knows we'll only have 2 weeks left. You can't get anything done in 2 weeks. And he wants the money to go. For 4.5 years, Commission, I know that y'all don't know half of what I'm telling you. 4.5 years, if I save money in my salary line, we have never been allowed to move that money to any other line item. I approached him about it 5 weeks or so ago. Oh, yeah, we've been thinking about going to the commission to get them to approve to let y'all move that money. Well, for 4.5 years, it hasn't happened. I submit to you, we probably have saved, we probably lost $500,000, which would have paid for those 4 deputies. But because he's disingenuous, we were not able to take advantage of that money. That is a clear violation of Supreme Court case law in Georgia for him to say, no, you can't move that money. Every year, I can't even make a promotion in my agency without coming before this commission once a year at budget time. That's a clear violation. I don't have to deal with that. He is a clerk. I am a constitutional officer. He can't tell me no on anything. But I went along to get along for 4.5 years. And you've heard the phrase, sometimes good people finish last. Well, I finished last. But I finished last for the last time. I'm not going to do it anymore. It will not happen. That's where I am. I don't want to repeat myself. If you can't see the savings that I've just talked about, in fact, if this commission would just give him a directive on the record, we would like to start October 1 because we would like to finish out August and September, and starting October 1, we will be ready. 100% ready to take over, to handle our own business, to do our own thing. I've been working on this for several months in conjunction with the sheriff of Banks County, who had just done this very same thing. When he took his 82 employees and he went and shopped for insurance, and it dropped drastically because, I've got good, healthy people. Our insurance went up 9% this year, and if I took my 120 people and went and shopped insurance, I'd save a whole lot of money. He took those savings and dumped them into the police officers, into the employee retirement system. In this county, a deputy has got to work until he's 67 years old and ready for Medicare because he can't take his health insurance with him. He can't afford to go anywhere. He can't afford Obamacare. He can't afford COBRA. So he has to work until he's 67 years old. I submit that's too, he can't even wrestle with these young folks out here. But we get painted with the same brush as the mechanic, who perhaps a mechanic shouldn't work till he's 67. I'm saying give me my money and I'll go shop a better retirement. I'll go shop better health insurance. It's clear. I've gotten all this information. I've made contact with these folks. We are ready to do our own business. We are not going to be intimidated by difficult work. You cannot be good and affect change without controversy. I learned that a long time ago, and we're not afraid of the challenge. All we're asking tonight is that this commission puts it on the record that this is what we're going to do effective October 1. But we need to know tonight because we only got short of 2 months to get this done. And if we can't get an answer tonight, we're going to be forced. You're going to force my hand to have to file the mandamus, and it's not what I want to do. It's not what I choose to do. But if you can't see that we have a ton of waste, I'm even telling you I'll give you back $500,000. The clerk thinks I don't know numbers. I know them well enough to know I can give you back $500,000 and still survive. I know that much. I put the pen to paper. If you do that, Commission, we'll build our own training center. We do need you to give us the land to do it. We have identified a 50-acre spot of land out behind the John Deere place that belongs to the Development Authority. We are respectfully asking you to carve out 50 acres along the railroad tracks that won't affect any issues that the DDA has and what they might bring to that area, and let us have 50 acres. And the reason we're asking for 50 acres is because we have done the studies, we have looked at drawings, we know that this commission already knows that 7 to 10 years down the road, we're going to have to build a new jail. Y'all already know that. And I don't want you to give us 10 acres of land and we go build a firing range, and then in 5, 7, 8 years, we got to move it to where you're going to build a new place. We can't just put a pod out there on the old jail. A pod would cost us $5 million today. By the time we raise the money, it'll be 5, 6 years down the road. That $5 million ain't going to build it. And we're landlocked. We're right up against the Recreation Department and the county shop. There's no need in putting money there. So I'm saying identify 50 acres of land now. We've identified that for you. Give that to us. Let us use a corner of it to put a temporary building and a firing range so that we can do training. And then when down the road, when you get the SPLOST money or however long it takes to get the jail, 5, 7, 8, 10 years, we already have the land. I'm asking us to think futuristically. The clerk knows we got to have a jail. We've had 3 professionals come in and say there's no need in patching on that jail. There's nothing to be done. It's old, it's outdated, it is a hazard. We have no room to do classifications, sick, gangs. We are farming out inmates to Jefferson County because we have no other choice. But y'all are working on that, and I appreciate that. But my mother would always say, don't throw good money after bad. Just give us the 50 acres. Let us go build. With our new budget, we won't ask the commission for anything. In fact, we did ask y'all for $400,000, but if you just give us our budget, we won't even need that. we won't need it. We can do our own business. I'll be glad to entertain any questions you may have. I want to say this. It appears as though I'm after the county manager. Do you know, out of that $32,000 a month we pay for maintenance, that includes the IT department. Do you know they have been told they cannot step foot on my property and help with any IT-related situations? They can't, because the clerk told them they can't. I had an IT guy who knew his business inside and out, and he has worked all over this county. And do you know he won't allow his IT person to come and help my IT person? That's how nasty and vindictive and counterintuitive he is. I can't work under those conditions.
Chair.
Dr. Phil said, I don't care how thin a pancake is, there's two sides. Tonight, you've heard the other side. I ask that you just do what is right, what is just, what is fair, what is equitable, and what's in keeping with the law.
I'm assuming when you say clerk, you mean our county manager. I think you're doing that just to kind of give a little jab in, which is a little...
Think is the operative word.
Which is, yeah, I know you like to throw those out too. You like to also use quotes, so I'm going to use one from Thomas Sowell. When you want to help people, you tell them the truth. When you want to help yourself, you tell them what they want to hear. I am really kind of blown away by not saying exactly what you're asking for, but I guess what you haven't, I'm sure you thought about it, but have you considered the ramifications to the other county employees or to the taxpayer? So if you do go search out and maybe you can get cheaper insurance. I don't know that. I don't think you know yet.
We do know. I know emphatically that we can. But
okay, well, that's good.
So are you asking me to be, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, are you saying, and you're Republican, are you saying that it's my job as the sheriff to make sure that the county shop employees keep their job? Is that what you're saying?
No, sir, but I would think that would be a concern of yours because they probably will or will not vote for you, so I would hope that would.
See, that's the, you're under the impression that I don't care if I'm sheriff or not. I don't have to be sheriff of Burke County. I am marketable. I can find a job. Might not be what I want to do, but I can work.
I understand that.
And I don't make decisions based on whether or not I'm going to get reelected. I don't make decisions whether or not I'm going to be liked. But I make decisions based on service to mankind. And I'm trying to serve the citizens of this county as fairly and equitably and efficiently as I can. And this is not efficiency. And if you're telling me to let him continue down this trajectory that we've gone for 4.5 years, I'm derelict in my duties. And so are you.
And I understand your point to a certain extent, but to me it seems like, and you've kind of even hit on it, that this is personal between you and the county manager. So we're going to tax, and we're going to have to pay attorneys. When you say you're going to pay an attorney, it's actually everybody here is going to have to pay for your attorney and ours. I mean, that's how.
That's exactly right. But that will not be the case if you will follow the law.
If we do what you.
If you follow the law, not if you say, because what I'm saying to you is what's lawful. You got a county attorney there, and if I have misspoken at all.
I'm definitely not saying you've done that. I'm not an attorney. He has advised us to certain things of that, and we'll discuss that later on. It's just, again, I'm asking, there's a bigger picture than you just want to.
I understand.
Be in charge of your money, and I get that, and if it's within the law, then certainly we're not going to stand in the way of that. But again, it seems like you picked a fight with one man that you don't like.
No, I picked a fight with. I've gone along for 4.5 years and tried my best. I have never picked up my toys and ran home. Y'all have turned me down for 2 raises that I've asked for, and I didn't pick up my toys and run home and say, give me my people, I'm going to do my own thing. I didn't find out about this law this week or last week. I've known for 4.5 years that this is a law. But when you try to work together and you try to get along in a spirit of cooperation, I'd like to have the kind of relationship with the county manager, clerk, whatever you want to call him, where if he said, we need a fire truck or we need an ambulance, can you hold off on a couple of cars this year? We don't even have that kind of relationship. because you've looked at one side of the pancake. You've heard his version.
I've heard your version before. You and I have had this conversation.
Okay.
Sheriff and,
At the end of the day, it
Commissioner
has, I'm sorry, Madam Commissioner.
Okay, we can go on and on about this, but do we have questions that we want to refer to the sheriff before?
I do have a question, madam. In this the Vogel grant, you say it's running out in January. Do we know for certain it's going away, or could they refund it? I'm asking. I don't know.
We have approached them. I did it against my own advice, but my chief deputy said, let's just go talk to them. I don't know if they're going to fund it or not. I'm up against time. Budget talks are going to start with y'all very shortly. We've reminded them twice. If they wanted to do it, I think they would have already given us an affirmative. But it's disingenuous, Art, to go ask them again.
Well,
They gave us
money. They don't mind helping.
The county has plenty of money.
It's okay to get help from. They're here supporting.
Look, we're the only entity in this county that's brought in several $1 million in grants over 4.5 years. Several million. We have helped taxpayers shoulder the burden. We have been extremely aggressive in that regard, and we continue to be. And I think it's, for the largest employer in the state of Georgia, and one who has propped up this county for decades, to have to go back to the well. Your welcome wears out after a while. But we did it. We did it. Because I'd rather save lives than not have it. But it's an embarrassment to brag about savings. We like to pay for everything cash, and then your infrastructure is falling down around you. What good is that to have money in the bank if you ain't using it for what it's designed for? You decide who dies. I don't want that on my conscience.
I think that's a little scare tactic for the community. But
Well, you can think it is, but I just read the numbers to you, and they don't lie.
how many deputies do you have currently working for the Burke County Sheriff's Department?
We have 74 certified deputies.
And again,
And that's approximately 70, 74, somewhere in there.
how many shifts do you have?
We have 4 shifts.
So I don't know the math exactly, but are those all road deputies? Is that what you're saying you need this grant or this extra money for? Because
We need, go
can't
ahead.
be road, I'm sorry, all those can't be obviously road deputies.
We couldn't run an agency if they were all road deputies. You got to have some investigators, you got to have some supervisors, you got to have, and so let me just say to you, when I say 7 deputies per shift, that includes a working lieutenant and a working sergeant who has to answer calls, who has to make traffic stops, who has to do everything a deputy does. This is not Richmond County where you wouldn't call a lieutenant unless somebody was dead. That doesn't happen here. We don't just have people sitting around the office. Everybody there has multiple jobs. It's not for you to get into the weeds of what we're doing. It's fine to ask questions. You have me to make sure I'm doing what is right. You don't hear things like, in my agency, a captain and above can't get a single hour overtime. They can't. You find another agency in this county where a person who is not the elected official is not entitled to overtime. Find it. Y'all didn't ask me to do that. I did it because I'm fiscally responsible. Merv didn't ask me to do it. Y'all didn't ask me to do it. I did it because I want to be a good steward of the taxpayer dollars. I stopped that. There are some folks there who were making $30,000 a year in overtime when I got there. It is cut out. We've been good stewards. And because I work hard, I do take offense to that kind of assertion that I would tell people what they want to hear. I'll answer any question any of you have, standing flat-footed. I don't know what you're going to ask, but I got an answer for you.
I meant when me disagreeing with some of your things. I didn't mean what you were saying.
Okay. All right. Yes. I mean, Madam Clerk, I'll take any questions. I'm here because I've got to be.
I would like to say one thing, not for his question, Um, you have Burke County, we have a very unique situation where that I can remember some time back where that a lot of the farmers, they was the irrigation people stealing and all kind of stuff was going on around the county. And you have, when I turn on the television in the morning time, I don't have to worry about how many people have been killed here in Burke County and in the other counties and a lot of the other counties. Sometime every morning, somebody been killed. I had the luxury of being in my home without having 15 or 20 guns in my house for somebody breaking in on me and killing me. Me personally, Sheriff, I commend you for what you've done. And all the people, most of the people in Burke County, because you won like what, 80 and 97% of the population, so the people let you know that they appreciate the comfort, and I feel safe here in Burke County. You've done a heck of a job, and I just want to commend you. And it frustrates me to see you up there frustrated. We're not working, trying to work together, and not even bragging of when the hospital's in trouble, yet that your guys kept up the hospital. When Lauren Barnard was here, a lot of issues was going on. We saved the county $400,000 and $500,000 on different projects. He had no problem with that. And that's not even included in the other things that you have done for the county. And some of our department heads, you know, just 4 or 5 people making $1 million, $500,000 a year in overtime, you know what I mean? And you don't have that, you know what I mean? So, but anyway, I commend you for what you've done.
One more thing, Sheriff. Please don't take anything you and I discuss or my disagreements with you or to take away from any law enforcement, you and these deputies in this community, because it's my home too, and I appreciate what y'all do in this community, this country. So we're not taking away from that. It's just, I feel like we've been given a duty to make sure we're as conservative as possible. And again, if the law says what it says, that's not even my issue anymore. But please don't take any disagreements as I don't appreciate or respect what y'all do.
Yes, sir. You know, I tell my 21-year-old daughter who's in college at Georgia Southern, the true sign of maturation is when you can respect the opinions of others, whether you agree with it or not, or whether it makes sense or not. So, respectfully, I don't have any disagreement with you. But I did want to, Commissioner Abrams brought up a point. Thank you for appreciating us. I make $106,000 a year. Somehow it keeps getting printed. It's 110. I think it's about 106. And I want this congregation to know you've got at least 5 people in another department in this county that make $130,000 a year. A year. And it's just, it's not even important who it is or where it is. And then I get alleged to not be concerned about taxpayer dollars. It's crazy. The other thing I want to say, and I know we beat this horse, I'm done. I'm not going to even talk about any more stats. I'd like to see if the congregation has any questions of us. But what Commissioner Lively alluded to earlier, you know, yes, if I take 120 employees and leave the county and go find cheaper rates, perhaps I can give back some of the waste to the commission and say, I don't need that much money. So it's going to balance one way or the other, because we have never come before this commission and asked for anything we didn't need. I never mentioned needing a training center until they closed my training center because of lead. I've never come and said I needed one. When you told me that you wasn't going to give me 8 deputies per shift, I went out to the private sector and begged, and Vogel acquiesced to what we needed. You're only hearing from me now because I think it's disingenuous to ask him again. But we did anyway, and we followed up twice but I'm running out of time. It's not a scare tactic. It's true. It's true. The numbers don't lie. May I ask a question of the county attorney?
Yes.
Mr. Fleming, you and I have had these conversations. I've put you on notice. I've sent you all of this. Have I misquoted any portion of the law whatsoever?
I've been listening very closely to try to figure out what you say the law is.
The law says that the commission has to give me a reasonable budget to perform my constitutional duties by protecting the people of this county.
And I think what's going on here is not that anybody disagrees with that statement, because yes, I do agree that that is a law in Georgia, and you and I have had that discussion. What we're disagreeing over is what is reasonable. In that sentence that you just said, the word reasonable is there, which means that you have to think you're getting enough money and it's being handled correctly, and they have to think they're giving you enough money and it's being handled correctly.
Now, that respectfully, the law doesn't say that the commission has to give me my budget if they think it's being handled correctly. Now, you know that's a misquote of the law. The law specifically says that they have to set my budget, and once they set the budget, they can't tell me how to spend one red cent. If they think that I am being careless or overspending, they have to file a mandamus, go to the Superior Court judge and say he is being reckless, and that judge has to make a decision if they intend to cut it.
Let me ask your answer.
Am I true about that?
Let me answer your question with a question. Then why have you allowed them to do that for 4.5 years, Sheriff?
Because we tried to be good partners. We tried to be good neighbors. We tried to go along to get along. But the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing the same way and expecting a better result.
And now you have landed on the correct answer. What the law assumes between the only people that can tax and raise money, and that's these 5 here, and the only person that can keep the peace, which is you, that you have to work together. And the reason that they are allowed to do the things that they have done for 4.5 years is because you have chosen to work together with them. And you are correct. If you choose, and I'll use the word divorce, if you divorce yourself from them, then you have chosen not to work with them in the budget, and you have the right to ask for your money. I think the thing that they're going to have to consider, and the advice that I will give them, is that that divorce will be extremely difficult to go through, and the fear in the long run will be that if that happens, that it may not help the taxpayers and the citizens in the long run. Because in your statement that you said at one point tonight, you wanted for them to completely do away with any interaction, and you named several things. And then a few sentences later, oh, but by the way, I need you to give me some land. Well, so let me make that point there. You just contradicted yourself to some extent. And I'm not blaming you for that, because you are exactly right. What you recognize in the second part of that is that you do need to work with them. Now, and I think what I will advise them, and I think what they will agree, is that they need to work with you too. So this easy split that may have been heard by some people tonight, my concern is, for them, is that that split may not be that easy as it is being portrayed. And I use the evidence of your second sentence, give me some land, they'll help me get some land, is what's going to happen, I fear, is that over time, you're going to have to constantly come back to them for more and more stuff. As you know, the SPLOST funds have to be decided in a few months now about how we're going to ask the citizens to once again approve 1 cent sales tax. The one reason, or a reason, that they can put into the SPLOST several of those new cars that you mentioned, and you mentioned that most of your cars are new now and under warranty, that was something you said, is because they have successfully worked with you to convince the voters of the county to approve that 1 cent so they could continue to do that for you. So all those things, when you do that divorce, begin to, by their very nature, not work as well together. So my only point is this. Yes, you are correct under the law that their duty is to give you a reasonable amount to allow you to keep the peace in Burke County and carry out your duties as sheriff. But the reason that most counties do work together and very few have gone down the road, as I can tell that you're suggesting, is because it is very difficult for you not to work together in that capacity.
Barrett, you got a lot of opinion interjected in there. Now, you know very clearly the law doesn't say anything except the commission has to set a reasonable budget and give it to a constitutional officer who gets to decide how it's spent. And the law specifically says that they can have no say-so, zero. It's not. The law doesn't say, y'all got to get along and work together. I tried that for 4.5 years. I have a long track record of trying to go along to get along. But so you interjected a lot of opinion there, and you are misrepresenting the law because you know the law doesn't say what you just purported. And I'm not a lawyer, and I just tried to get into law school, and I'm not smart enough to get in there, so I'm not arguing. I'm sorry?
Have you broke the law for 4.5 years because you have worked with them and allowed them to work to make changes?
No, the law is clear that if I want to work with them, I can.
That's my
and I
point.
tried for 4.5 years, and it's not working. But you know the law doesn't say that they have any authority whatsoever.
That is my
And
only...
please admit that to the public, because you're misrepresenting.
I'm going to wait for you to finish.
You're misrepresenting, and you're interjecting opinions to sway when you know clearly that's not the law. And you could shame me in front of this entire audience, and you can say you are wrong. And you can't do that because you know that what you're purporting before this audience is not in keeping with the law.
And here's my point. May I make it? Here's my point. You are not also telling these people that you have not been following the law for 4.5 years because you have been working with them.
It's not against the law, Barry, for me to work with this commission. Now, don't say that.
Exactly.
You just said that I've been breaking the law for 4.5 years because I was working with them?
No. I said you're not saying that. And here's my point. My point is when you choose to work together and you allow them to work with you on your budget, that is not a violation of the law. And that is what's been going on for 4.5 years. And what you're proposing now, and I use the term divorce, you're proposing to separate that and no longer work with them on money issues. And the only point I'm trying to make to you is it sounds very easy. My fear is the reason most counties don't do it is because it would be very difficult.
But is it a violation of law? No. We have tried for 4.5 years. Did you just hear the recitation? $800,000. $37,000 a month, whether I drive a car into that place or not. And entrepreneurship is to say, Southern Auto and Firestone, y'all find tires for the police cars, and they'll go into a bidding war, and we'll save even more. And we're feeding families, and they're hiring people. It's not my job as a sheriff to sustain any employment. And yes, I do care. And I love this community. I'm a taxpayer here, too. I got a house and 5 rental properties.
Here's what I hear you saying. You disagree with some aspects of how the county is working with you on your budget. You disagree with that.
These commissioners,
but I think what you
I have no problem with, except I cannot and will not work with this county manager anymore. I have that option, and I have made the decision.
So the rest of my point was this: as you have said, you disagree with how the budget has been worked for you in several ways. Inherent in that statement is that there's a large part of the budget that you don't disagree with because parts of it have worked.
Look, what I'm saying here before this commission, to make it extremely clear, and I really, you're supposed to be representing both of us, but I see, obviously your money comes from them, and you're one-sided, Barry. You know that's disingenuous. I thought we were better friends than that, and you're not being honest here. But this commission has worked with me, and for 4.5 years, I have worked with them, and I have done my very best to get along, to go along, to be a good steward. I have a 4.5-year track record. And even when I've gotten mad and didn't get my way, I didn't pick up my toys and run home. but I'm not going to do it another year. It would be crazy to just continue on. If these people are not outraged by what the numbers I just called out, then they certainly ain't going to be mad at me for taking my 120 employees and going to find cheaper, better stuff. Because they didn't know these numbers are the way they are. They just assumed the sheriff had $10 million to do whatever he wants, and he keeps growing the budget. And if I went the rest of the way and told you some of the other things that are going on, they really go nuts. I got charged $8 commission for a quart of oil. $8. All of us can go to O'Reilly's right now and buy a quart of oil for less than $4. I don't care if it's synthetic oil. It ain't going to cost you $4 a quart, especially when you're buying it by the barrel. That is what I'm tired of. I'm carrying 35% of that county shop, and I have nothing against Mr. Burke. I love him. We get along well. He's a colleague. He doesn't get to control these numbers. The county manager does. This commission doesn't get to control them because they trust him to do it. I'm carrying 32% of the facilities and maintenance. They don't cut my grass. They come and clean my building 1 hour in the morning. I had an inmate doing it for free. This was thrust upon me. I got a maintenance guy that I'm paying close to $50,000 a year plus 29% benefits who works in my jail full-time every day for an occasional 2 or 3 times a year that the maintenance shop has to come and do something at my jail. I'm paying $32,000 a month. And you think that's being a good steward? I talked to a gentleman last night. He said, I just think it's better if it's in the government's hands. And I said, well, you're assuming that the county manager can administrate the money better than I can when I've given you these numbers?
Madam
How did you just trust? Well, y'all sound like leftists. You trust in the government knows what's best for you.
Madam
Well,
Chair.
I need to insert one thing, please. Sheriff, we've got some numbers, and they obviously differ from yours, because over the past few years, it shows that you've been over budget each time. And I understand some of those costs. I get that point.
I'm so glad you brought it up. I'll listen to you first. I'm sorry.
And it also shows our per capita cost. So we've got some misinformation on one side or the other.
You do, because you're only seeing one side of the pancake. And I told you at the beginning, you're in search of truth or doubt. So let me tell you, this is another reason I'm frustrated, and I wasn't going to even bring up the political side. At the last election, the county manager shared all these things about the sheriff is over budget. He spent all this money in overtime. I just told you that we were not allowed for the last 4.5 years to take a single savings. I saved $100,000 in salaries plus, $100,000 plus. I couldn't even take that money in savings and move it down to overtime because he had rather you believe that I'm a bad manager of money. If I had taken that $100,000 and moved it down to overtime, I would have balanced. But because he wouldn't allow that, because he's disingenuous, I don't get this kind of an audience to tell you the truth. I don't. I get 10 seconds on the news, or I get some article in the newspaper that's jaundiced. I'm telling you the truth. That's it. The first 10 lines of my budget I can't touch, according to him. That's a violation of law, if I disagree. So your numbers are not right. Everything I have said here is 100% truth, Art. It's not a lie. We would be in budget if I was allowed to manage my budget. But when I'm working with somebody who's disingenuous, who won't do what he knows is right and lawful, I just don't have a choice. I don't. I stand, by the end of next month, I will have saved roughly $175,000 in salaries. Right now, my overtime budget, my overtime line item is showing that I'm $110,000 negative in overtime. If I could take that $175,000 and move it down to the overtime, I'd be $65,000 good. But because of his fancy numbers, I can't move the money. And it's just to make us look bad. That's all. It's disingenuous. And then he'll share it with my opponents to make it look like I can't run a budget. That's what's happening.
Okay, Sheriff. Thank you. Did you have something to say?
Madam Chair, my only suggestion was that this is the appropriate time if any of your commissioners have further questions for the sheriff. If not, there's a disagreement about the budget, obviously. And
there's no disagreement about the budget, Barry. So the law requires y'all have to say no before I can have a case. You've already said no on record. You told me last year you voted in public that I could not give night shift differential pay, which all progressive agencies in this area, MCG, Columbia County, Grovetown, they're all doing it. I need it because that's the way for me to attract good people and to keep them here so they don't come and go. And you said, I can't do it because if I do it for you, I got to do it for the clerk and I got to do it for everybody else. That's on record. So you've already said no. And that is a violation because if you tell me no, you're telling me how to spend my money. And so when you say no, you've already made it possible for me to file an action. You told me I couldn't pay educational incentives because we'd have everybody running off getting a degree. Look at what's going on across the country. And you telling me law enforcement don't need higher education? Why don't you have FBI agents choking people and killing them in the street? Because they have more invested. They're more educated. They're more trained. And that's why I'm asking, but y'all keep painting me as if I'm just some department head that just want a bunch of stuff. That's not the case. You got to trust me to do the job. If you had people running into your house and stealing your property and doing violent crime, you'd be all over it, giving me everything. Let's maintain what we have. Jesus wasn't getting respect at home, so he said, I got to leave my kindred and go do my business. And we get respect and everywhere else we go, and you can't even get it right here at home. And that's embarrassing. But it's not representative of what the majority of the people believe, because we wouldn't have won with 85% of the vote with two opponents. The people have spoken. They trust us, and they can trust our product. And I'm just asking, just follow the law and see, don't we save you money? Just follow the law. That's all we asking. I started this by saying I ain't come in here asking you for a single dime. Now, obviously, we need land. We can't afford to go buy 50 acres of land. But I said, you don't have to build a building. You don't have to build a berm. You don't have to do anything. Just give us a spot of land. You're going to have to do it anyway. Y'all are already preparing for that.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff, and we do appreciate.
One thing, Madam Chair. So when we talked Saturday, there is some misunderstanding on ARPA funds. And the president can say what all he wants, I respect that, but he didn't read the language that got sent to us with it. And for us to use it on law enforcement, we would have had a reduction in funding and cause you to have a reduction in funding. Or we had an increase in crime and violence, and because y'all do such a good job, we had it. Now, we had Michael research that through the stuff, was that 2 weeks ago? And we looked trying to find the statements that were made, but he evidently didn't read it before he spoke. And he was selling the ARPA, and there were a bunch of communities where all that was true and that they could use it for it. But our hands were pretty much tied to a few situations, and we voted in May, I think, to use it for broadband to serve the whole county. But that's going, I just want to make sure that everybody understood there were different interpretations to that law.
Yes, sir. So respectfully, we asked for $420,000 of the $4.2 million that you got for COVID. If the law prevents you from giving that money and the president misspoke, it still doesn't erase the need. And I can't have a single person come to me and say, well, Sheriff, we can't give you $420,000 out of that pot because the president misspoke. but you still have a need. Let us help you over here.
I understand all that. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and I stand corrected. If the president misspoke, I'm sorry. I took him at his word, but he's a Democrat. Maybe I shouldn't have. That's a joke. I'm a Democrat. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. We do appreciate you at home. You saying that everybody else and you spoke at the Sheriff's Association, everybody giving you kudos and saying what a great place Burke County is and commend you for giving your service here. So we do appreciate you, even though, you may say, okay, we don't appreciate you, but we really do. And
Yes,
we do thank you for all that you've done and all that you continue to do with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And the respect goes both ways. I appreciate the commission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on item 19 and 20, I know you're expecting something this exact second, but we're taking it under advisement tonight. Next, information and reports. Lacey, do you have anything? Clerk of Courts, Scott. Are those all of the department heads? Oh, Marley, come say something. Okay. All right. At this time, the commission.
Madam Chair, I have,
Oh, okay.
Because
Sign
we
up
had,
sheet.
I think, Lee Gerlach was on this sign-up sheet. All right. It might be some others.
Okay, we have Mary Bennett and Lee Gerlach. Topic, homeless. Okay, go to the podium.
Good afternoon. Well, good evening now to each and every one, Madam Chairman and board. I came to you because there's been some kind of misconception as to what we are asking for in the community of Burke County citizens. 23 years I have given my time to the homeless, the elderly, and the misplaced. 15 of those years, the churches in Burke County helped me feed them along with some other people in the county. 15 years. And because of those 15 years, crime was down. In Waynesboro, we had a double homicide. This county, this city was in uproar. The homeless came to me in 15 minutes and told me who had 15 minutes. There were other robberies, burglaries, and everything else. And all I had to do was go to the home. It's called a home. Most of you don't even know that we have homeless, elderly, and misplaced people in this city. There are county churches out in Oak Grove, out on this side, Robertson Grove on this side. During the time I was doing those 15 years, there were plenty churches. However, after the 15 years was over, a group of us from Magnolia Acres decided we're going to get together and do a Magnolia group and still feed the hungry. And by the way, I am from Magnolia Acres. Jesse Stone, who was a lawyer back then, helped us write 5013C. We used that to get donations, people helping us, because it would help them on their taxes just for a write-off. After that, and the pandemic came, let me back up a minute. We had our board for Magnolia Acres. We had 5 people that own land over there on Magnolia in the little park we have there. They all returned it back to the community. After that, our president have died, and some of the members that were on the board, they have died. So we had to start all over again. 3 years ago, myself and some more ladies, we're called the SOS, Sisters Offering Service. I've never come before the commissioner, city council, or no one else for food for those 70 people that we feed every Monday, every Wednesday, sometime on Friday, sometime on Thursday. We get lucky by Harvest Bank. Food, clothing by other churches. Do you know over half the churches in Burke County right now is not open? So we don't have that kind of service anymore. Some of them will never open again. The mayor of the city of Waynesburg came to us and asked us, would we help with his task force? We're still doing what we are doing. We said yes. He said, there's plenty of money that the government has given us to help the situation that you all involved in. Also, he said, we're going to go to the county administrator and see if I can get them on board. He said, fine. So that's what we've been doing for the last 23 years. So I read different articles in the paper. However, that's people's opinion. If they had come to me and asked me, I would have given the right information. That's an opinion. I ain't mad at them. But I just want to let you know what we do. We clothe them, we feed them, and we do everything that we can. And by the way, when the pandemic hit in this county and around the world, my family was even angry at me because I was out still feeding people. But let me tell you, those 70 people that we fed, they didn't catch a cold, they didn't catch COVID, and neither did I. And I thank God for that. You know, in the Bible said, Moses said, I can go, but I can't talk. He said, that's why I'm sending your brother Aaron. Well, I'm the Aaron today in the city of Waynesburg. I'm speaking for the people who can't speak for themselves. And by the way, they don't have food stamps. They don't have a whole lot of money because guess what? They don't have an address. They sleep in cars. We give them gas money during the winter. Sometimes they sneak in the in Magnolia Acre apartments and different other things. We don't judge them. We're just helping them. And when I came to the city council, and now I'm coming to the commissioners, would you pass out these? These are long-term plans. My classmate, would you just pass on? My classmate, Ellen Bennett, asked me what I was doing several years ago, and I told her. She said, you know what? You can pass this one around to where they can see what I'm talking about. She said, we have a building that my daddy left. None of us are coming back home. She said, I'm going to give you all that building. If the city could get that building and give it to you all for a soup kitchen. I said, are you serious? So I took most of the people that was in their family members to the lawyer's office in Augusta to make sure everybody had signed off and we could get the property. Well, here it is a year later. Everybody have signed off and nothing is being done. Well, we got two situations here. We have long-term, which is the building, and we have short-term, which is emergency money that we need now to feed those 70 people. Well, on Monday, we didn't have enough in our coffer to feed those 70 people. But I made sure they got hamburgers from Burger King, and they allowed for me to pay $1 for them. And I thank God for that. Because this is not a trip I'm on. This is a journey. And all of us know when it's a journey, you don't know where it's going to end. But I've made a vow when those people helped me back then that I'll never forget them. And I'm not going to forget them. Even as being deputy coroner, they still helped me. I went to a death scene, and I was about to hand over keys to the wrong person. Well, one of my clients said, Miss Bennett, that's not the one. He has a wife. I said, are you serious? Yes, ma'am. This is where it is. I go tell him and bring him to him. I got the sheriff involved in the matter. These people still help. See, we don't have people up and down pushing buggies like other cities, sleeping on the bridge and different things. They sleep in cars and wherever they can sleep and whatever they can eat. And they help solve crimes. And they don't break in your house and take your food or anything else in the matter. All I'm asking right now, when you have your budget, the house that you see right there, that's a long time. Put it in the budget. Make it a soup kitchen. That's all we're asking. But right now, we're asking for emergency funds to feed 70 people so we can go ahead and finish up what you will hear in a few minutes with McGurk. To feed them until we get everything in place. 501c3, we can get people to donate money. Help us. That's all we're asking. And I have never, in the 23 years, asked any agency for anything. My husband is here. I will tell you how much I did, but I can't tell you. But that's what I am. That's who I am. And these ladies have come aboard to help Waynesboro citizens. They told me, I had a subject on the city council to go to the churches. They're not open. They're not open. And when they were open, they helped. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying we just need emergency fund that I've been told by the county administrator and the mayor that there were funds given to us, given to you all as citizens to help with the situation. We just need temporary situation money to help us get. We have filed for the 501c3, the sisters offering service, and through the city, we have also started for the money to get a 501c3 for the task force. So you're talking about two different things here. So I came to get it straight. So everyone will understand. We're not asking the city council and the government to fund anything in Waynesboro forever because we've been doing it for 23 years. All I'm asking now is just to help us now until we get there. Because I know in my heart, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. And we're going to feed these 70 people. They're displaced, they're elderly, and they're homeless. Some of you won't even know that we have that many people in this city, not the county, in this city that needs that type of help. We've clothes are donated to us. The church, right there on the corner, St. Michael's, he gave everyone 5 pair of socks, over 500 pair of socks. And the one that was left, told him to give it to the kids. We set up a park at Clark Place to give the rest. They feed every 4th Monday, St. Michael's. She's going to give you the list in a few minutes. I just want the misconception to understand the truth here. We're not asking you to take care of our clients because God's going to do this. We're just asking you to help us right now. And if anybody have any questions that don't understand what I'm saying, please do so at this time because I want to give Miss Gurley her time because she's going to give you the facts and the figures of what we have done since we became sisters offering service. Any questions? And I would be glad to meet with the budget committee or any other kind of committee to feed these people. It was so hot the other day on Monday when I fed them. I was running late because I had a call, death call. They said, Miss Bennett, it's so hot out here, but we knew you were coming. So that's why we waited. I said, Lord, please, help me. It's going to happen. Because they don't bother anybody. They stay in those cells, and they do what they have to do because they know Miss Bennett, when I tell her, if I catch you in trouble, you're not going to be eating my food. You're not going to eat it. So you best do what you're supposed to do in the right manner. Miss Bennett, we're going to tell you. That's who we are. That's who we're talking. I'll be glad to show you the 6 sales that I go to. I thank God for that. Come on, Miss Gurley. While they're getting their questions ready. Thank you all for listening.
So Mary and I are sisters. I'm just going to share kind of a sample of the work that we've done since the pandemic started in 2020. It's not only the 70 individuals that we feed each week, but we've also been able to reach out across the county to assist. In 2020, when the pandemic started, between April and December, we served 6,759 individual meals and distributed 2,080 boxes or bags of food containing food for multiple people or multiple days. We benefited from the Feeding America campaign during lockdown last summer, so we were able to distribute individual meals not only in Waynesboro, but in the Girard and Sardis areas. In 2021, this year to date, January through July, we've served 3,977 meals and distributed 920 boxes or bags of food that would feed people for multiple days. Our core service group at present is about 70 individuals who we feed at least twice a week. This group includes our neighbors who are homeless and some seniors who are homebound. While there are food distribution services being provided in multiple places across the county, like the Y or through churches, the homeless are a particularly vulnerable group. They would have to find transportation to get the food, and then they don't have a place to store or prepare it. So a once-a-month food giveaway of non-perishables doesn't really help them. What really helps them is bringing them the meal. We spend about $850 per month. That's about $12 per person for meals. We can do this because businesses like Subway give us a discount, and because we can supplement with food donations from Wimberley House and the YMCA, who give us their leftover bags. From Augusta, we received help from Fishes and Loaves and from Golden Harvest. The St. Michael's ladies provide 1 meal a month. A good chunk of that $850 a month, 500 or so, comes from just a small group of us, and the rest of us come from angels in the communities whose hearts are suddenly moved to donate. I can't tell you how many times we were like, at the end of the month, our money's run out, and then somebody just gifts us a check. And because we were working on a cash basis, and we weren't incorporated or not a 501c3, these were really gifts of the heart. These were people like giving spontaneously and generously. One day I was taking 2 ladies who live in the senior center just up this street from me to the dentist appointment, and they gave me money for the ride, and I said, I can't take the money for the ride, but I'm $20 short for the homeless meals this week, and this covers it. So it's just like amazing things like that have happened all the time, that where you know that the service that we're providing is really divine because angels are helping us. The Sisters Offering service is incorporated now, and we're in that process of applying for the 501c3. We're still kind of wading through that 1025 or 1023 form whatever it's called. It will be easier to contribute to us in the future. And we're just like, we feel that the Sisters Offering Service is like the short-term emergency on the ground team. There's also the team that's the homeless task force. That's the one that will be working on the building and raising funds for the renovation. And we'd like you to consider money in the budget this year for that. We're not saying how much, because any money that you give, that you put into the budget this year is more than was in the budget last year. But please consider that. Please consider money for the building and assisting us each month with something for food on the ground until that building is in place and food can be prepared on a regular basis. Personally, I feel that when you put a line item in the budget directing money or funds, anything towards the homeless, first of all, you're acknowledging that this is a problem. And this has been a problem for a while, but nobody has taken ownership of it. So for the last however many years, because no one has taken ownership of this problem, no agency or governmental institution, there's been no point-in-time count. There's been nothing reported to the state saying this is how many homeless people are in Burke County. So the information that the state has when they allocate funds is not correct when they're directing funds to the CSRA, and our homeless group is not included. When you put a line item like this in your budget, it also shows these neighbors of ours that they matter. I worked on the census committee here in Georgia, and the message for the census in Georgia and for here in Burke County was that everyone counts. And I really feel that we helped with this. Mary shepherded her flock to Mount Olive, where the Commissioner Kelly had arranged a census drive, and we got a lot of our homeless people counted during the census. And so right now what we're asking you is to put some kind of money in the budget for the homeless and show the homeless that that message was true. Everyone counts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mary and Ms. Lee. And we know you all have been working hard in the community all these years. And Lee, she came in, just started working. She picked up with you instantly. So that was very good. And Lee, I think your background is accounting, right? Okay, accounting. So Lee is good with the figures, so she's right on it, making sure everything is counted. So thank you all for the service that you've given the community and that you're continuing to give the community. And we'll get with our county manager to see what can be done. Okay. Now we have Ms. Mary Jones. Ms. Jones. Okay. Ms. Fowler, you have anything? Okay. At this time, the commissioners will go into executive session for a legal matter.
And 2 legal matters and 1 real estate matter I have to discuss with you, Madam Chair.
Okay. So can we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go to an executive session.
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion, but it's a legal matter and a real estate matter, right?
2 legal matters and 1 real estate matter. Motion made by Commissioner Abrams, second by Commissioner Nix, that we go into executive session. All in favor? Ayes have it. I know that. I've been there. turn to regular session. Motion made by Commissioner Nick, second by Commissioner Abrams. Is it Abrams or Martin? You? Okay, Martin. Okay, all in favor? And unanimous.
Madam Chair, in executive session, there were 2 legal matters discussed and 1 real estate matter. There was no final action taken on any of those 3. You'll need a motion from one of your commissioners to allow you to sign an affidavit to that effect.
Can we have a motion?
I make a motion that we get the chairman to sign off on the documents and the papers for the week.
Motion made by Commissioner Abrams, second by Commissioner Martin, that the chair will sign off on the said statement. All in favor? Unanimous. Meeting adjourned.
Yes, sir.